Hey, let's see what we're looking at for next week. Um, I'm just getting over, I don't know if it's the flu or what, but fever finally broke last night, and I've pretty much been sleeping for the last 36 hours. Uh, but wanted to get on and get this done before market open. Um, so this is the weekly chart. I am going to start here because it looks to be pretty important. Um, Last week we did create a bullish engulfing candle uh, from the previous week. We have not reached 50% of the previous week's wick. We didn't quite get there before we pulled back. So, which also means we created a swing high on the weekly. Now, typically when a swing high is made, we're going to see lows being taken. Um, just as we did here when we made this swing high, we came down and took these lows. Um, and last week we actually came down. When taking these equal lows, we pretty much came down and made these equal lows. So I'm going to keep those pretty much in uh, in focus if we start to go lower. Uh, we've had two weekly swing points created at this time, so you know it's the question is what do we do here? Do we go to start taking out those weekly highs, or do we need to come back lower, take out these equal lows here before heading back up and taking out weekly swing highs? So a lot will probably depend on this coming week on what happens. But right now, my focus is on the previous week's high. Let's go down to the daily. Uh, Remove all of these drawings. And on the daily, we did uh, create this small fair value gap here. I am not syncing any of this to my lower time frames, as I will need to just come back and look um, at the higher time frames to see where we're at and how we're doing. Um, if we look at you know the market maker model here, we didn't quite break these lows, uh, but we did make relative equal lows there. We do still have a daily fair value gap down here below us. Uh, so we're going to have to see consolidation, reversal. Um, I mean, I really don't see any consolidations. Maybe this one yet. On the daily for a sell side market maker to be present. Uh, you know, we came down and made this low. We finally closed below this low here, uh, and which gives us our daily market structure shift. You could say we had it here as well. Yeah, that would be market structure shift. This would be an actual break of structure. Um, so right now, as far as I'm concerned, on the daily, we are definitely still in a down a downshift model. What I want to do here, since we did have the break of structure, um, is put on my 6-2 retrace on the daily chart and see what level that's pretty much going to line up with. Uh, you know, ignoring these, since this was the break of structure, we're looking at the 6-2, which is going to be around 780. Okay, so I'm going to keep that. I'll keep that in mind for the lower time frames. In fact, I'll go ahead and just put a line there, um, and we'll round that up to 780, or as close as we can get to it. Good enough. We do have some resistance right there that we could run into. Uh, Possibly more resistance there. Uh, if we take this last candle here as an order block, daily order block, uh, yeah, we're going to be running a little bit above the midpoint to reach the 6-2, uh, and that may also break, the highs. Well, that's up here. So if we get through that order block, and you see on the daily, we came right up to the midline of that order block and rejected, uh, but it wasn't an extremely harsh rejection uh, on the daily candle. So uh, we'll see what happens there. All right, so I'm going to move down to the 4-hour from here. Uh, we know where our weekly swings are. Um, and actually, I need to go ahead and mark out uh, our next daily swing point, which is at the top of that order block, which is also right at the 705 of the pullback, the optimal trade entry. So we could rebalance that order block, uh, take liquidity from it, hit the 7.0 in reverse, or not. So let's head down to the 4-hour. It's not going to be much different than the daily. We do have a good market maker model here. You know, we swept the lows here, we swept the high, went up, swept these highs, then came down and swept the lows. Uh, Swept the lows here, and then took the high here. So that would be our buy side market maker model. We've hit the second distribution area already. Question is, do we get a third, or do we um, reverse from here? So what I'm looking for uh, is how we react to levels on this uh, buy side so far. So this is our current dealing range. Um, Actually, no, I take that back. We swept the lows, then took the highs. So, sorry guys. Um, I'm going to call this our current dealing range because we swept these lows, we took these lows, then we took these highs, and we've continued up from there. So, if we do go higher, then we'll just continue the dealing range on up. But for right now, my quads are going to be placed from this low to this high, and I'm looking to see how we react from that. Um, this is our daily order block uh, that we marked out. In fact, I need to That actually shouldn't have come onto this chart. I need to go reset my settings. But I need to just put that as a board block. And you can see we rejected right off the midline um, with the weekly high being right up here. Um, so we have a good opportunity to let the market tell us what it's planning on doing. Um, and this shows itself really well. Uh, let's just go down to the 1 hour. It shows itself actually really well on the 15-minute. Um, but this is really what I'm liking to see right now. Uh, and I am going to put a range box from this high to these lows here. And I'm going to call that my range that I'm looking at for accumulation. Um, and see if we get, oh shit, see if we get any manipulation out of this range, right? Um, you know, the 4 hour, the 1 hour is all bullish right now, but the daily is bearish. So um, this is something that we're definitely going to have to watch, right? Uh, let me unlock that for a second. I want to extend that out and see over the next few hours of London or Asia and London, see what happens to that there. I'll lock that in there. So that's basically going to be my range that I'm looking for manipulation. If we break out higher and then reject this, I'll be looking for us to come down into this fair value gaps midline and see how that holds. You can see that on the 4 hour, that 1 hour fair value gaps midline is right at the 25% level. We haven't yet broken through the zero level, which is the high, of course. We've come up, touched it, and rejected off of it, and came up, tried again, made a lower high. So um, this is going to be quite interesting, uh, and I'll uh, keep this in mind for Monday's price action. Um, so if we go down to the 15-minute, then what we have is uh, you know, we reached up and made the weekly high there, um, and I will put that on there, and that's going to be the previous week's high. Okay, we'll keep that marked on the 15-minute because we want to watch it. This is basically going to tell us, are we heading back up to take out swing highs, or are we um, going to reject off of this and head lower? Uh, most bullish engulfing candles get a retrace around 50%. So if you're looking at the weekly bullish engulfing candle, then you are expecting some kind of a retrace on that candle. What I would very much be willing to trade is to see us take this previous weekly high, but hold this daily order block, um, not close above the midline, and then look for some displacement to the downside, and then find the OTE entry on a 6-2 retrace of that displacement. Um, or even take the trade if we get a 15-minute candle that pushes above and then falls and closes below the midline of this uh, gap, then I would definitely be looking to take that trade uh, to the downside to at least take these lows here and probably come down to the middle of this uh, fair value gap here. I can't remember if that was a 1 hour, probably a 1 hour. Um, and we've got three 15-minute fair value gaps there. So we've already encroached upon this one uh, to the 50% mark, I do believe, if not rather close uh, on the 15-minute. I just want to take a quick look at that. Yeah, pretty close. Didn't quite hit it and took off. I'm going to delete that because I'm just wanting my higher time frame levels at the moment. Um, we do have to break through uh, the previous week's high and that daily order block midline to get to the 6-2. Um, I am going to be interested in taking a short there. Unless I see displacement through it. Then I very well may take a long to get up to the 705, which gives us that previous. Oh wait, that's the previous day's high. And I think this is the previous week's high. Um, well, no, that's the previous week's high as well. That is another weekly high, or that's the daily swing point. Yeah, never mind. I need to mark that out. Uh, Daily swing. Up right around the 705. All right. So we have some really good areas to uh, let the market show its hand up against some really higher time frame levels, um, weekly highs, daily order blocks, daily swing points. Um, so this is going to be a spot where I want to be really patient and just kind of watch where the market goes. Not sure what that is. And see where the market goes and let it show me a direction first. Because right now I have an argument for both sides of the market. We are bullish on every time frame except the daily. That could be changing. Um, but we also have all of this resistance above us that should not get broken um, for another downside movement. So when I can have an argument for both sides of the market, the best thing to do is just sit tight and not trade. Another thing that's going to be pretty important is what is the news for next week? What days does the news happen for next week, right? We've got unemployment claims on Thursday. We really have nothing until next Thursday as far as red folder news. So next week, uh, just don't know, right? Uh, Maybe on Friday we find a good trade um, with no really strong news coming out in the first part of the week. I don't expect much movement in the market. So, you know, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, or even Thursday, you know, may not be a good day to trade. If Thursday shows us a really good direction, then Friday's news might be a catalyst for an expansion of that direction. So We'll just have to see. Again, I'm just going to be really patient with the news coming at the later part of the week. This just may not be a good week to trade. uh, Next week, no, we got federal funds rate, unemployment claims, FOMC. Yeah, next week, the middle of the week is definitely going to give us direction. Uh, Thursday, Wednesday's going to give us a direction. Thursday should be a catalyst for expansion of that. And then we have CPI on Friday, which if it if all three of these news events continue in one direction, Monday should be a continuation of those news uh, directionalities in the market. So, looking a couple weeks out on news, next week just doesn't really look good uh, as far as trading. As far as the confluence of news and trading, unemployment should give us some kind of direction. And then again, like I said, on Friday, if unemployment shows us a direction and gives us some displacement through levels, then Friday's uh, news could be a catalyst to continue that move. So we'll be watching the news quite a bit and preparing for that next week. Um, so, without a whole lot of news, it's very well we could just, you know, consolidate for a couple of days, either on the 1 hour or the 4 hour, uh, to see what happens. As far as consolidation on the 4 hour, uh, we've had our up bar, another bar that couldn't. If we get our down bar to come into here, then we come back up to order block midline again. Um, yeah, I mean, I could really see some ranging 4 hour movement here for a little while. Um, of course, that's going to be rather tradable. What I'd love to see is for us to come down into this 4 hour midline at the 0.25 and see if I can get a trade there on the lower time frames to go back up to the midline of that fair value gap. And that is 683, uh, 420, 520, 620. Uh, that's a 260 point move. Um, I'd really like to be able to catch part of that, a good portion of that. So that's really what I'm going to be looking for next week. If we don't come down here and we just break through here, I'm going to be very cautious uh, because we do have our support level or our resistance level here that I was talking about, and the daily swing point uh, where we could see a sharp pullback as well. I hear you, Tank. I'll be there in a minute. It's time to take the doggies out. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for next week. I'm going to keep a watch on the 4 hour pretty good. See where London and Asia and London tonight start us off and where it takes us. I'd really like to see us stop short of the low of this candle and then see New York, see some consolidation down here on the 15 minute and then see New York manipulate higher than lower into that midline and take a long from there um, back up to that level. So uh, that's what we're looking for, folks. We'll see what we get come Monday. Again, there's not any news in the beginning of the week, no red folder news in the beginning of the week. So I'm going to be extremely patient. You know, these are the only two setups. Really, this is the only setup I would like to see, is a push down, some accumulation on the 15 minute around New York pre-market or New York open, and then see the manipulation on the 15 minute, hit that, uh, and reverse and take that long back up. Uh, you know, if we displace on the lower time frames through this order block midline, uh, I would definitely have to see us break this. Uh, and if we did break through that support and resistance at 775, we have a 100-point move that we could catch to take out the daily swing. So that is probably um, the other one I'm looking at. We do have a 4-hour order block right here as well. So we'll have to watch that. Okay, so we have the daily and the 4-hour sitting right here in a very nice range. We could definitely go sweep last week's high, hit the 4-hour order block, and then reverse off and come back down to here. Now that I see that, that is something that I may look for as well. Um, but being very careful, because once we break above uh, that 4-hour quad, we could just come back, retest it, and then continue higher. So if we come back and break back through it, then we'll just be moving our quads up a bit. Um, but if we do break through it and then it holds, and the daily order block becomes support at the midline, then we could be looking for that move higher to take out the daily swing level. I know we are going to have some resistance right here at this support, support resistance line. So, uh, yeah, we'll see what happens. Tank's getting restless, so I am going to take them out to go potty, and I will see everyone Monday mornings. I am sitting in Springfield waiting to turn in my truck, which probably won't happen until about midweek. I am getting another truck for at least a short term, uh, maybe even another year. Uh, and there's some financial stuff uh, that comes into that decision. Um, so let's see what happens. I will see everyone uh, Monday in the New York session. I'm not going to be trading Asia or London. Um, I just want to see what those two sessions do, and then see if we get something favorable in the New York session. Until then, I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend, and I will see you all Monday morning.